Hello, everybody. This is Anita Teresa, and I'm the founder of the Embodied Femme. And I'm very delighted to be here with Megwyn White of Embody Voice. And to me, Megwyn has created something new, unique, and alive that's really the next living extension out of all of her work and training in knowing the body, in anatomy, in energy, healing. And I really see you, Megwyn, as an inventor and as someone who's a pioneer on the edge, really the cutting edge of where the whole mind, body, spirit movement is going, and you're way out in front, and you're just really far beyond where the mainstream is still kind of catching up to. And you just have a level of sophistication and tools and knowledge and techniques that I think a lot of people are starting to get more and more curious about, like what is this embodiment work that you're doing, and what is embodied voice, and how does my voice connect to my power and my self-expression and to my sexuality and to myself, my true self. And that's what I see you doing in the world now with your work, which is ushering people into this era of full embodiment. And you really, the word embodiment is floating around, it's becoming more of a buzzword, but you truly embody embodiment. You know intimately the ins and outs and all the nuances, and I see real changes happening in people's lives, including myself. And that's why I'm excited to really create the space for you to share with more people, with a larger audience today, what it is you've created and how people can benefit from it, because there really are benefits. So I just want to let you speak for a couple minutes about, basically what your work is, what is Embody Voice, where do you see it starting to take shape, and we'll start from there and go deeper into it.
Well, for me, Embody Voice is really about claiming and owning all of yourself. And so it's only natural that the bridge into really claiming and owning all of ourselves would be the voice. It's the place where we hold a lot of shame, right? It's the place where we were put down or taught that we weren't good enough. And those thoughts, those expressions laid an imprint on us, right? And so for me, Embody Voice is basically this kind of primal bridge into activating and unlocking and re-embracing all of the human being, all of the parts, all of the emotions, and really and beginning a global movement, really beginning a global shift in how we honor ourselves, how we honor all of the emotions. And one of the things that I've really been learning more and more about my work is that it's this kind of reintegration of parts of ourselves that we couldn't express at one point or another. And through the practices, through the exercises, through the energy of voice, we can slowly begin to become intimate with ourselves. And it's something that we really forget in relationship with another, that in order to have the deepest level of intimacy with another, we have to meet all the parts of ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So beautiful. I love your passion. You're just so gifted at guiding people and helping them move through shame, and that's something that I think a lot of people avoid even talking about or going anywhere near. It's like, no, shame, no.
Yes.
But you're so skilled and so loving and so fierce and courageous and tender at the same time, in being able to guide people through what's underneath the shame, what's underneath the emotion, that emotion, what's deep under that. And it happens so fast.
Yes.
What I love about your work is it's so immediate, and people can find results, whether it's someone like myself building a clientele, building a business and speaking in front of large groups of people. I've incorporated things that you've taught me around my voice and my root, the root chakra, the tailbone, the sacrum, really connecting to that groundedness and the primal self. And that's, I think, one of your greatest gifts in this work is connecting people back to their primal self.
Mm.
And that's what is exactly what's been cut in our society from a very young age. We're told to, that's not okay, and to repress that, and silencing and shaming in a very subtle way, sometimes not so subtle way, but that we reconnecting to that primal self is what does bring liberation. It's the foundation, I believe, for full self-expression and that power and magnetism that all of us really desire. So I'm just curious how you came into this work. How did you discover it? What was the process of uncovering layer by layer this technique that you've developed?
Mm. Well, it's been a long process, a long journey that really began, as a young child. I would say that, I've been on this path of reclaiming myself since I was very young. And that primal wound that I had when I was a child, which was a sexual wound, laid basically an imprint, laid it like kind of like a blueprint on me, right? And so since I had to silence those energies, I had to silence that abuse, that then laid an imprint on how I could communicate and express myself out there in the world. And so through acting was my first introduction to the power of embodiment, because through embodying a character, I could experience the potency of those emotions, right, that were stifled in that moment. And when you're talking about something like a sexual shame, the primal emotions that are stifled in that situation are really like really deep, like stop, right? Like very strong, the emotion of anger, the emotion of just primal fear, of getting all of those things out. So through the characters, I was able to connect with that. But then in my normal life, I didn't bridge that awareness at all. So I would, sort of be I would hold that imprint, that blueprint of that victim energy out into my real life. And then I was so hungry to be on stage, and then it was after college. I graduated, and after September 11th, which was a huge trauma, to everyone who was living in New York, I was looking for something that would help me to be aligned and empowered with those primal energies, because I knew I had them. And that was when I began studying yoga and went on to study many different forms of esoteric types of meditation. I also then studied very in-depth focus of the body through Yamana body logic and Yamana body rolling. And so through all of that experiential knowledge, and that's really sort of been the thread of my own learning, is the experiential knowledge. So everything that I've learned or teach is only something that I have experienced. It's not something that just comes down, on me and that I'm sharing. It's coming through the knowledge of integration of experience, and so that then led me to this deeper work, which was this more primal energy. I just kept going into more and more curiosity of myself. I think that's really the key to anyone's true self-discovery, true healing, is that curiosity, that energy of like, there must be more. I want to understand myself. I want to become more intimate with myself. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. And I'm curious though, what does this technique help with? I mean, I've mentioned what's helped me with, but what do you see with your clients that it helps them with? What do you see different after working with them?
Every area of the life really does shift, but I think some of the main areas are around the areas of sexuality, relationship, being able to relate to another intimately, because that's often where the deepest emotions arise. And so oftentimes I get both men and women, expressing that they don't feel comfortable really sharing the deepest emotions, right? And so if we're not comfortable sharing the deeper layers of ourselves, not just in communication, but also in a sexual expression, then the levels of the dimensions of intimacy are kind of stifled. They're really blocked. And so that's one huge area that people see great results in. Also, just the area of imagination, creativity. People tell me that they just feel more aligned with their imagination, their expression. They don't care so much what other people think. They're not constantly filtering through every single sentence that they're saying. They're just expressing because because what I do is I help to connect people energetically to where the voice needs to land in the body, to be whole voice. So the voice is not just coming from the head, it's coming from the root, from the pelvis, from the energy of where life began, right? Just words are a powerful manifestation. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, who are your most common clients in terms of background or demographic, or what they're doing in their life, why they come to see you? What do you who's most likely to come see you?
I think that I oftentimes attract people that are maybe of the more entrepreneurial spirit. You know, they're willing to explore something a little bit outside of the box, and they also have a message. They want to be heard, and they don't feel like they're being heard. They don't feel like they're being really understood. They feel like what's outside, what they're projecting is not the real them. I also am attracting more lately a lot more men that really want to be more activated in their empowerment, their true divine masculine energy. You know, their ability to own their words and to also own their feelings as a source of power and not as a weakness. And of course you and I, because you and I work together a lot as well. I attract a lot of women, you know, that really want to be more present in their sexual energy and you know, really hold again their emotions, but with a real kind of honor and beauty, and that actually is a source of beauty, you know. So, but I attract, you know, women across the board. But I would probably say that this is the type of work for someone who's really ready to go into that new paradigm shift. So it's not a kind of it's I would say it's more advanced level for some people. So it takes a kind of person that wants to go much deeper into themselves.
Yeah. I mean, I see you sort of on another level. It's people who know they have this kind of royal essence. They know their power, they feel it, but there's something blocking, and they're not even aware fully what it is.
Yes.
But there's something between them and their authentic expression, which I think we all have at varying degrees.
Yes.
And we're all learning how to unblock that, but
Yes.
to own the full power, because I think that's very scary, actually. It's scary to know that you can wield a lot of power and influence over others, and I think you're really gifted at helping people peel away and dissolve some of the fear and shame around their own power. It's just an incredibly valuable and high quality work that you're doing. It's just so beautiful, because I feel like there's a lot of coaching, there's a lot of trainers, a lot of business coaches out there, but what you're doing is so deep. It goes to the roots of being human, what it means to be a human, which is our animal essence.
Yes.
And I don't see anyone else doing what you're doing. I think it's extremely important and empowering. So really, really honor what you're doing. And just so people get an idea of what would a session be like if I were a client, how would you work with me? Like, what's the steps you'd go or take me through?
Well, you know, first of all, when I work with someone, I try to get to the root of whatever the intention is at the moment they're really drawn to, you know, around what they perhaps feel is blocking them, and then also what shows up on the voice, you know, because the voice is an imprint of what's truly happening in the body. I do a lot of my work actually through the internet, through Skype, and that actually seems to work much better sometimes than even working physically one-on-one, which is also something that I do with people that really want to go deeper into those physical details, and they want to really feel that through the body. But the work that I'm really passionate about lately is actually this distance work and being a kind of meta guide for people and I basically guide them through a lot of these primal energies and through really connecting to the to all the visceral energies of the body. And once those things are aligned, once those things are connected, and I just have a way of being able to hear that, then the person can actually go through the process of integrating emotionally what was blocked. And it could be something that was blocked when they were 5, that keeps getting recycled and keeps getting repatterned, into self-defeating, limiting, things. And basically, it can be a very quick process. And the more people really kind of trust that relationship, we can go very, very deep, very quickly, because we're working with the container of the body. We don't have to go into the story. We actually don't have to try to analyze or try to understand why a trauma occurred, why an abuse occurred. We just have to get in touch with where the animal was blocked in expressing him or herself.
Yeah.
And once that happens, that energy gets actually reintegrated, reclaimed. So it's not something people always tell me, oh, is it when I let go of the emotions? And I say, no, it's when you actually claim. You take back that emotional currency. You reintegrate it. So that power energy, let's say, if that's something that someone has blocked or shamed in themselves, because it didn't feel empowering. They don't have that ability to really drop in because there's that wound around that particular powerful emotion. I kind of act like a mother lion would.
Yes, you do.
I'd sort of just, get rid of the shame plexes that are around that energy, and just like a lion would, really guide a cub, right, into owning all of themselves, into owning all of those primal energies that are beautiful, and they do make up they're the most elegant part of us as human beings. When they're integrated, when they're honored, when they're actually really understood as divine, right? And they do serve purpose. They do serve a huge purpose in our life.
So everything you're saying is so gripping, because I relate to it, and when I hear you talk, it's like, oh yeah, it makes perfect sense. But for some people who are really concrete and they want to know, well, what is it actually that we're going to do? Because you really want to know the step-by-step, and not that you need to describe the step-by-step right now, because I know it changes and it's very organic. But can you describe briefly some of the techniques, so people get a sense of what is it? I know it has to do with the body. I know it's kind of like, is it like yoga? Is it like dance? What is it exactly? So just share like little details of what some of the somatic work you're doing people is.
Yes, well, it is actually kind of like the yoga of voice, I would say. Because we're working actually with stretching certain muscles, certain very key muscles. The tongue is the most important muscle that we work with, because that's tied and integrated into what's called your hyoid bone. And that bone is basically the evolutionary shift bone that allows us as human beings the ability to speak and form language. Now, when we have any kind of trauma, any kind of place where we're shaming, we have shame energy, that the muscles around the tongue will contract inward, and that will then affect the way the voice is expressed. The larynx will rise up higher, the voice pitch will become higher, more constricted, more blocked. So I give people basically tools, techniques on how to stretch these muscles, which are very webbed-like. It's like a kind of very complex web of energy here. And then that web ties into the fascia of the body. So we will sometimes actually work with yoga even, because yoga can help us to pull and integrate that fascial connection into the rest of the body, but also dance and just gesture, expression. And we also work quite a bit with the muscles of the face, and also the ends of the body, the hands, the feet. These are where the most nerve endings are in the body. These are the ends, right? This is where the end of our expression goes. So when we have any kind of trauma, it will also be be affected in the ends of our body where we won't take space, right? We won't really express the full potentiality of our voice. So, without going into any real detail of any particular exercise, that's kind of the way I work. And also, I work with a lot of deep primal sounds that also help to energetically open and stimulate kind of internal massage. And they also become a way of creating a kind of feedback tool into the body.
Mm. Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think that's really, it's clear. I think it's much clearer. People get a nice a sense of what it is they're going to receive when they come to see you and be guided into a session. And I really, whoever's watching, and I just encourage you to try out working with Megwyn because there's nothing like it out there. And you'll find results so fast. You'll be astounded. It's like immediately things just open up in your body and in the emotional realm. It's just so connected, and the way that Megwyn works, it's the way that you work really is just holistic in the truest sense. It's so deep. So I'm really excited to just see all this work get out there in the world and more people connect to it and be able to find their fuller expression because we need it.
Yeah.
We all need it and can benefit. So can you just mention how people find you and how they can book a session with you?
Sure. I have a website. My website is Embody by Megwyn, and you can book a session right there. You can contact me. My email is megwyn.white@gmail.com. Contact me directly, and go from there. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Mm.
Well, I'm really delighted again to be
Mm.
able to talk about this work and just expose more people to it. And thank you all for watching. And we will be broadcasting again soon.
Thank you so much. You're amazing. I love you.
You are amazing.